Where would you go invisible into?
I would escape social situations. It'd be the easiest way to escape. It'd be like
the most relatable thing I've ever heard of. Hello, Gina with Sidewalk Talk. Today I am with Tyler.
Hello.
FAIRLANE. Finally.
How you doing?
He did a sidewalk lockdown video for us like a year and a half ago.
When I was trapped in Germany.
Yes, when you were trapped in Germany.
Yeah.
And we are finally here. How was growing up in Canada?
I mean, I grew up in central Canada, so I was born in a city called Winnipeg, which is in Manitoba. It's literally the asshole of Canada. I don't like it very much.
Wait, what?
It's at the time it was the highest. It was the murder capital of Canada, so it was the highest murders per capita in the city of Winnipeg. The lowest.
Wait, why did
average family
is
income.
it really called the butthole of Canada?
I think that it is.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
it's not. It's like
I didn't know if it was like a saying.
I've heard a few other people refer to it as
a
something
butthole,
similar.
as-
It's just.
So you lived in the butthole.
I lived in the butthole of Canada. It was just like a very dirty, dangerous city. A lot of crime, a lot of murder. Make it sound like the ghetto. But the worst part was that it would get to like -40 in the winters, which I know is the number where Celsius and Fahrenheit meet. So it was like so cold in the winters that you would breathe through your nose and your nostrils would freeze shut. And that was just like what you do. You wake up to like 5 feet of snow in the front yard. You couldn't open your front door, so they would cancel school.
That's just where you grew up.
That was where I grew up until I was about 12, and then I moved to Calgary. My family still lives in Calgary, and then I just kept making my way further and further out west, and now I've settled in Vancouver, and that was kind of where I got my start in music, was in Vancouver.
When you were like growing up, did your friends listen to EDM at all?
Kind of.
Like at
I mean,
school? Like what did you guys listen to?
I mean, I'm old. Like I just turned 31, so like when I was
well, I'm 29, so we're not far
okay,
off.
so you're not far off. But
Yeah.
like when I was in the 12th grade,
It's
it's
like senior year high school.
senior year of high school. Yeah,
Mm.
the 12th grade. EDM was like just starting to make a very like small emergence. I remember I found like a Dead song on this pro snowboarder's MySpace page, and I think it was like Faxing Berlin, and that was like the first like dance record I think I'd heard, aside from like, you know, all the like dance influenced pop music that was coming out at the time. Like you could say like NSYNC and all those guys in the early 2000s were like influenced by by like dance music. But that was the first like raw EDM that I think I'd ever heard, and so that sort of started to like introduce me to it. But most of us were listening to like rock, post-hardcore emo, a lot of like Lexus on Fire, Linkin Park, you know, a band called Misery Signals, Remos.
And when you're like, where do you think you got your creative side from? Like, what do your parents do?
My dad's side of the family was always fairly musical. My dad played like saxophone in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, so he still has a saxophone. He's two actually.
Can you still play?
Kind of. He's like used it to wake us up in the mornings.
Wow.
So, you know, and we were little kids. Like he'd come in and like blasting the saxophone.
That's like so cute, yet like probably really annoying at the time. You know?
Oh yeah, because I did not ever want to be woken up.
Saxophone, yeah.
And actually, so when I was going into junior high, which is you have junior high here in America.
Yes.
You call it okay. Junior high, grade 7, I joined band, and I wanted to be a saxophone player like my dad, because because I thought it was cool, and because we already had saxophones at the house, and I wouldn't have to spend a bunch of money on an instrument.
Yeah.
And I joined band. You started with a clarinet, and then you would move up to more complicated woodwind instruments.
I tried to do this clarinet.
Did you succeed?
No.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It was like one, I bought it and everything, took one lesson, and I was like, nope, this is
not for me.
This is not for me.
You're thousands of dollars in the hole, and you're just like.
Well, I mean, I guess I bought it. Oh yeah, I
Or did you do like a rental?
Maybe. I don't know where it is anymore. I have no idea where it is anymore.
There's something about renting those instruments too, because I don't know if you've ever had to like drain the spit valves and like clean those things out.
Yeah, I didn't get that far.
Okay. Well, that was
Played one.
it was the plan though, was to go in and get the clarinet, use my dad's old one, and then have the instrument at home so I could practice. I wouldn't have to rent or buy one from the school. And on the first day of band, they segregated us into the brass and the woodwinds, and the woodwinds filled up, and so they put me in the brass, and then I got forced to play the trumpet. And
Oh, the trumpet.
I hated it. I wanted to play the clarinet. I'm like, this is what I wanted to do.
Wow.
And I did 1 year of band, and I remember at the end of the school year, we had our final exam, and I've never learned how to read sheet music. I've always done everything by ear, like compose where I learn a song. And so that's how I would play my scales, is I would be like, give me the reference note, like if you wanted an F major, play me an F, and then I'll just play from F, and I'll do that. And I went in, and he put the sheet music in front of me, and he was like, play this scale. I was like, well, which scale is it? He's like, I shouldn't have to tell you this is your final exam. I said, well, just give me the reference note. And so he played it, and it's an F major, and I played the scale, and he said, well, you're gonna fail this exam because you clearly haven't learned how to read music. And I said, but isn't the point to be able to perform the music? Like we're finding a middle ground here. And he completely disagreed, and so I dropped out of band. And decided, I was like, I hate music, I hate all of this like completely turned me off from it. And then about 6 months later, I started playing guitar because I wanted to impress girls. So so it was a short-lived protest.
So in junior high,
Yeah.
you wanted to, you picked up guitar to woo girls.
I was a nerd. I didn't have like
What was the first song you learned?
on guitar.
Yes, to woo the ladies.
I mean, not the best choice. I was learning like Van Halen.
Like a screamo one.
Literally, yeah. I was like
Oh my
learning
God,
Van Halen
wow.
first.
So romantic.
Yeah, and then started getting into learning like Under Oath riffs, and a band called Lamb of God. They have these like insane riffs that to this day still challenge me, and so that was what really got me into it. And the whole goal was to, get out and start performing in front of people, but I was still way too terrified to do that. So I just practiced in my room by myself most of the time.
What is your mom, does she have any creative sides?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So it's mostly from your dad that you picked up music.
Yeah.
But mostly because of girls that you really, really picked up music.
I don't want to oversimplify it, but you're not completely wrong in saying that.
I'm like kind of right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when did you start getting into music production? Actually, hold on. What do they think of EDM right now?
My parents?
Like, what do they think of EDM?
Yeah, my family.
Yeah, your parents.
They like, my mom loves it.
Aww.
My dad's still kind of confused a little bit. Not like I make him sound like he's like an old man. Like, no, he just like, they've never really gotten to see me perform.
What?
Yeah, which is
really.
I'm still waiting for the right chance to do it. And I am actually potentially playing a show in Calgary with Arm & Hammer in a couple weeks.
What?
So
That'll
I'll bring them out to that. But yeah, there's kind of like this. It's very difficult to sell the idea to your parents. That, like I have a finance background. I went to school, studied economics, was working in corporate Canada for a little while, and
Where
then
were you working at?
I was working at an energy company called Nexen.
Okay.
And I did 2 terms there, and then the market started to dip in Canada. There was a big supply bubble with the oil industry, and the price of the barrel went down. They weren't hiring. Everyone was getting fired. It was really dark times, and I had no idea what to do. And a friend of mine reached out and said, "Hey, move to Vancouver. You can crash on my couch for free if you learn how to produce music, and we'll form a duo, and I'll get us shows at the clubs in Vancouver."
What?
So that's what I did.
You have some amazing friends.
I do. Everything that I have to this day, I owe 100% to my friends and people that have just like done me favors.
Seriously.
And, like, even where I'm staying right now, like my good friends David and Navina just lent me their apartment. They're like, we're out of town. They live in Hawaii now.
Wow.
And the apartment was available, and so they
just
gave me the keys. And now I'm able to stay in LA. I think like to this day, I still have to kind of like justify it to them a little bit. Like that I am making a living. I'm not making like a grotesque living, but I am making a living. And that there's just kind of always that concern of like, well, where's this going? And what is it? Like, what do you do? You're sort of like, well, I do a little bit of everything. I produce projects for other people. I produce my own music. You know, I'm playing shows now. I think they understand the performance side of it, but as a genre, it's sort of like what is classified as like EDM.
Right.
How does that differ from like a rock show? And it's like, well, it's very different actually, but.
True. How old were you when you started getting to music production?
I was about 26, 25 or 26.
Oh,
yeah.
so it's like, well, not recent, but a lot earlier than Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was right around the time that I couldn't get a job with my degree.
And then when you had to go move to Vancouver, that's when you like really started?
Yeah. So
and
that
who
was
taught you how to produce music?
The internet for a good portion of it, and then I made friends with a Monster Cat artist. Actually, his name's Tristan, and his name's Leo, and he was living in Vancouver at the time. I slowly got introduced to the Monster Cat family. We just went out for dinner a few times, and I kind of mentioned, oh, I'm trying to get into dance music, and they were like, sweet, you and everyone else, like, let us know. And
oh my god,
you know, there's something, not that they're bad, they're just saying, they're just like, cool, like, good luck, you know, it's gonna be a battle. And I remember going into his studio, and he had this like really like musky studio in the basement of this old apartment building. They rented out all these rooms as like studio places to do rehearsals, and there's no air circulation, so it was just blistering hot down there all the time, and the air was like hot and humid. But I went into his studio, and it was like treated, and he had like, you know, a really nice set of monitors, and I was listening to his music, and I was like, oh my god, this sounds so much better than anything I'm making. And it turns out that he really liked riding bikes, like cycling, and so the two of us just started riding bikes together and hanging out, and then at night we'd go to the studio and we'd like produce together, and he would just sort of watch me and listen to what I was making, and then tell me it sucked, and would make me, and then would make me delete it and start over. He'd be like, "That cool idea, great, delete it. You'll make more. Just like keep going." And that's when I like, you know, it's still like a piece of advice that I give to a lot of kids that reach out now, is in the early stages to not be married to anything that you're making, because you're going to get better and your ideas are going to get better. And then even if you reapproach one of your original ideas, it's going to sound better than the first time you tried it. So like, just allow yourself to learn.
Interesting.
And don't be afraid to delete. But that's kind of how I learned, was just through him being mean, but like, it was much needed, you know.
Do you think that would be the best advice you could give to producers that are starting off now?
Some of the better advice, yeah. Just because that slowed me down a lot in the beginning was, you know, you reference other people's music and you'd want to try and copy, you know, their sounds and get it to sound as good as theirs, and you spend all this time trying to figure that out and finish your own songs. You know, like I would get stuck on one idea and I'd be producing at it for like months, and I just couldn't get it. I was like, why doesn't it sound as good as these other people's records? And I would waste all this time just trying to produce one song when I could have gotten to a certain point, saved it, scrapped it, done whatever, moved on, and just tried more and more ideas until I started to figure it out. Because it just takes time. Like, you gotta be patient with yourself. So that's sort of the advice that I would give.
What are the biggest challenges that you have, either musically or personally, like with this, I guess, musical journey?
Staying relevant and trying to be unique in a genre that's very saturated, and there's always room for it. I think it's just like everyone's trying to kind of find that thing that's going to differentiate them just enough. You know, like Nick came out and created this like whole Millennium brand, and sort of like the melodic bass, future bass movement that then obviously spilled over into like what everyone started doing. And at the early stages, it was like everyone was just getting compared to him. And now that it's kind of had some time to settle, everyone's sort of getting compared to each other. And so it's trying to find unique ways to like keep pushing forward. And stay motivated and stay energized and stay passionate while doing so.
And how are you overcoming that?
it's an ongoing
Yeah,
process.
it's an
Yeah.
ongoing thing. I feel like that's so difficult. I feel like.
I mean, it's one of those things where you see the next generation of musicians coming forward, and they've got that like youthful spirit, and with that comes this like unmatchable work ethic, where they're just inspired constantly to do everything. Like they're creating their own visuals. They've got like cartoon series. They've got a YouTube channel that they're launching. They've got
everyone's doing so many things now. I feel like you can't just do one thing. I feel like you have to do like 20.
Well, exactly. And you're like, you're doing that, and I'm waking up with like back pain, like spending like the first 30 minutes of my day stretching, and then crawling over to my studio like, what am I gonna make today? But no, I've sort of found like a new stride in my production and writing process that has got me really excited, and just surrounding myself with like-minded people that share the same sentiments, the same ideas, the same passions. That's been amazing. And like, having close friends like Will Black is a really good friend of mine. My friend Curtis, Mark, the guy that dropped me off here, like these people that are in the industry that are also just like really good friends on the outside that you can talk to when you're having those down days, and they're sort of like, I was having a down day the other day. Like, it happens, it's ebbs and flows, and you go up, you come down, and you got to just allow that to run through.
What is the biggest piece of advice you could give to producers as far as music production?
As far as like honing in their craft?
Yeah. Like, what's the best piece of music production advice that you've ever received?
Explore multiple genres. And not even as like a focus point. Allow yourself to learn a little bit from each individual genre, because they all have unique things that contribute to one another, and they all have that crossover potential. And it just kind of like, the more you can force yourself to be uncomfortable and learn a new way of production or producing something, the faster you're going to pick up and adapt, and be able to implement new ideas. And then when you do sort of start to find your stride, like find that one thing that you're really good at and double down on it. Like, it almost contradicts itself, but you hit a certain point where it's like, you don't want to be a jack of all trades. You want to try and find that thing that like gets you to the finish line and leaves you with a product that you're satisfied with. And like, for me, that was like just playing guitar and having guitar be like the focal point of almost every record that I make now, because I'm the fastest. I know how to get the sounds and the tones that I want. I can plug it in, I can let it rip, and I'm just I feel comfortable with that. Whereas if you put like some new synth in front of me, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I was like, I can come up with something, but I'm not gonna like revolutionize sound design. I'm just gonna
What DAW do you use?
Ableton.
And what's your favorite plugin? Plugin.
My favorite plugin?
Plugin or plugins.
Guitar Rig.
Guitar Rig.
And I really like the Fab Filter plugins.
Okay.
They're relatively affordable, and they just work.
All right.
Get Fab Filter.
Before we jump into AMAs, what do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered as, it's something that I've really been trying to focus on lately, like from performance aspect and everything. I want to be remembered as like the approachable, relatable musician, and like I've been really trying to break that boundary, or like that barrier between the musician and the fan, and I've just seen it a lot.
I love that.
Yeah, and so like, my last show in Denver, like Will and I premiered that song Broken together.
Great song, by the way.
Thank you very much. I jumped in the crowd while we were playing it. Like, I stayed up there and was like, clapping and doing all that. And then right as the drop came in, I ran out front stage and jumped into the crowd with everybody. And that was like the best moment of the night. Like, I had so much fun. And that's what I kind of want people to see me as, is just this guy that's like, I'm not any different than anybody else. None of us are any different than anyone else. And so break down that kind of like pedestal image and just be like, he's just a kid that loves anime, loves making music, that I could reach out, talk to if I needed to. And if I have the time, get back to everybody, and just really kind of create that connection with everyone that follows my project. So
That's amazing. I really liked that answer.
there you go.
Okay. Well, we are going to jump into AMAs now. Boop. Boop. Okay. Oh, my arm.
Yeah, I can see how this would get
Like, it's
intense right
like,
here.
This arm's a lot stronger than.
I might switch arms before people start to get the wrong idea about my right arm.
Yeah.
Fire.
Oh, this is just a common one. What is your hair routine?
My hair routine?
How do you do this?
It's nothing that complicated. So I literally, I used to have the worst hair. Like in high school, I would get like the cut right across the bangs.
Yeah.
And it would just be flat, and I would like puff up the top.
We need to get like a kid picture and just like throw it on.
And compare it. I'll send you one. I've got one that I can show you. My high school grad photo.
No, please do. Please.
Brutal. No, my nervous twitch.
Like when did it come? Like when did it start forming?
It's a nervous tick. Like whenever I'm anxious, like whenever I'm on stage, I do this. I always do this, and it's like this little 1-2 swirl.
Really?
And I legit started to just develop a cowlick because of that. No, like
really?
It used to be flat, and then now my hair goes this way just because I've forced it direction for so many.
Did you do that on purpose? You like wanted it to flippy?
Kind of like subconsciously, like it was just truly like.
It's like Kakashi vibes if you like grew
Yeah, and dyed it. Well, I mean, I'm starting to go gray, so maybe soon it'll be Kakashi vibes.
Oh my god, that would be the perfect Halloween costume.
Oh yeah.
Favorite country?
Favorite country? I mean, I have my answer. I mean, I loved Italy.
Ooh.
I went and spent some time in Italy, and I went and saw
How's
Rome,
the food
and
there?
it's amazing. And my favorite dessert is actually tiramisu. And so I was out there with a couple locals, and they brought me to this little hole-in-the-wall
like
dessert
that
restaurant.
local.
Yeah, and they're like, this, you wouldn't think it. This is the best tiramisu you'll ever have, and it truly was the best I've ever had.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
That goes to my next question. Favorite food?
Favorite food? I really like. I mean, I love sushi.
Everyone says sushi.
Sushi, but okay, I'm gonna change it up. I was saying that was like the pretext. I love sushi.
Yes.
However, I would have to go with like a really well done chicken tikka masala with like a garlic naan from an Indian restaurant. Like when it's done well, it's the best. Although I have been told that it's not the same in India. So if you actually go to India and you try like a tikka masala or like a butter chicken.
Oh, so what we have is like Americanized or something?
Yes. But that's all just based on what I've seen on a YouTube video, so I don't know how much truth there is.
Okay. Let's go this way.
Whoa! Just about hit you in the head. I came around like
boom. Favorite childhood memory?
Oh man. I've got a few coming to mind. I don't know why. It's not even a good. The
first one that comes.
The first one that came to mind is not even a good memory. It's just kind of funny. So like my grandparents had this lake house out in Ontario, and we'd go there, you know, in the summers to go visit them. And my grandpa had this old boat, and my dad would go water skiing, and I really wanted to learn how to water ski, and I was probably 8 or 9 years old at the time, and didn't have, you know, the strength really in my legs yet. So they modified a pair of water skis, and they tied a rope between them so they wouldn't split too much. They'd cross still, but they wouldn't split, so that I wouldn't end up doing the mega splits and dying.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really go in the deep water yet, and so they started me off kind of like on the beach, and the idea was that they would accelerate the boat and I would just get pulled and then start water skiing. And they set me off and they pulled me, and both my feet came out of the skis, and I just wouldn't let go of the rope, and I was just getting dragged underwater, and I could feel like all the weeds hitting my face and stuff, and I'd come up and they're like, let go of the rope, and I like wouldn't do it. I was just like, no, like I'm gonna recover from this.
Wow, this is your favorite.
No, that's just the first one that came to my mind. I don't know why I thought of that. I hadn't thought about that in years.
Wow. I'm really glad I asked that question.
Okay, but I do have a favorite. A favorite memory of mine is actually this one. I give my dad props for it because he's super creative. So it was at the time that Toy Story came out, and you know, Woody and Buzz were all the craze for all the kids at the time.
All the kids.
And I had this little Woody and this little Buzz doll. And one night my dad took them when I was sleeping, and he like tucked their hands into like the shutters on the window, so they looked like they were climbing up the window, right? And so I wake up.
Oh my god, that's so cute.
And I wake up and I see them, and I'm like, okay, hold on a second, like what's going on here? And my dad's like, whoa, that's crazy. They must have come to life when you were sleeping, and they're trying to escape. And so I started this series where every night I would like trap them. Like I would take rope and like tie them together, and then put them in a shoebox, and then put like a rock on top of it, and then like put a blanket over it, and like all these things. I'm like, there's no way that they're getting out of this. And I'd wake up in the morning and they'd be climbing up the window, and I was like, what? How do like I'm running out of ideas here. Like I didn't know what to do, and I was convinced that they were just these like escape artists.
Your dad is so cute.
Yeah. And so eventually I caught him. I think I woke up and I saw him putting their hands in the window. I was like,
wow.
I knew it. I was totally fooled. I was fully.
How long was that? How long did he fool you for? How many nights, you think?
Oh, it just went on for weeks. Like he yeah.
Oh
yeah.
God. Wow.
But that was the beauty of it, though, is then I would sit there and I'd look at them and be like, I know that you're alive. And I'm gonna like break your leg if you don't come to life right now. Like I'm just like, how do I convince them to come back to life?
Did your dad
here?
watch this encounter?
He was probably like,
oh my god. I'm gonna, if I ever have kids, I'm gonna
use that.
I'm gonna do something.
Oh yeah, it'll rock their world.
Yes. Ooh, what's your biggest fear?
Loose change, octopuses, and I have yeah, and then I have this phobia. Have you heard of submechanophobia?
No.
So there's like a whole subreddit for it. It's like the fear of underwater man-made objects. So like a boat
like
prop,
a submarine?
underwater submarine, like a sunken ship. Oh, just like like the thought of swimming, having that underneath you.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
Like, how do you even discover that phobia? Like, did you go diving and just saw it and it terrified you or something?
I never used to like back.
Are you like claustrophobic?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm actually the opposite. I get very comfortable in tight spaces. Not like in a coffin, but like, you know, like.
And no one has that.
Yeah, it's not
That's
like
right.
I'm like, oh yeah, bury me underground and I can
seriously.
finally sleep.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no, just like swimming at, you know, my grandpa's place as well. They had like a buoy out in the water, and the thought of like the chain underneath it going down to like an anchor under, like it just, that weirded me out. I couldn't go anywhere near it. And then I started to notice it, you know, swimming near docks and having like the pillars going down into the water.
Interesting.
That really bothered me. And then anytime I was around a boat, like the prop. And then octopus, yeah, they're just, I mean, they're fascinating. I love them, but just something about them is like, ugh, like it just it makes me squirm, for lack of a better term.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first one?
Loose change.
Loose change.
Yeah, like the penny. Like we've abolished the penny in Canada.
Yeah,
I've officially outlived.
Why are you scared of that?
I don't know. Just like the feel of it, the touch of it, like the smell. I don't know. Like the smell of loose change. Like
Terrifying.
if I get into someone's car and they have like the cup holder full of all the loose change, and like there's people who have clean cars, and there's people who have in between them, there's people who have messy cars, and I find the messy cars always have the like spilt pop in the cup holder with the loose change. No, like that just doesn't do it. I can't handle it. No. So,
wow, that is really, really specific.
Well,
but it's so true.
It's because
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Not a fear of mine, but like kind of gross.
Yeah, it's gross. And so
Yeah.
mine's, I think it's just gone to the next level.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Ooh, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
See, I've thought about this one a lot. And I think, everyone's go-to answer is usually flying. But I am a realist, and I think that even if you could fly, you probably wouldn't fly as much as you think, because if you were suddenly just floating 10,000 feet in the air, there would always be this underlying fear that the power might disappear and you would just start falling. And that's like something I've always thought was like, if I could fly, would I want to fly to the top of that building? Probably not, because it's really high and it would scare me. But But it would be really cool.
Wow, that was
But I think invisibility.
permanently?
No, the ability to like go, like to become invisible.
Wow, why is that? Where would you go invisible into?
I would escape social situations. It'd be the easiest way to escape. It'd be
That's
like
the most relatable thing I've ever heard. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I would totally pick that.
I would just exit, and I would forego the entire awkward conversation of like why you're leaving. It's just like gone, and then everyone would be like, "Where'd Tyler go? Who knows? Oh, maybe he's maybe he'll come
and
back."
then you could just listen in, but
yeah, well,
not
and see what they're saying about me, and then just sneak home and watch anime and and then go to bed.
what animes do you watch? Are you watching?
am currently. I have watched Demon Slayer, so I have to wait until I see my girlfriend next to watch the movie. Yeah, because that was my one. She gave me one anime that she would watch with me. She doesn't hate anime. She's like, I just don't watch it.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll try it out. I'll watch an anime with you. And we watched Demon Slayer. She liked it.
Wow.
It's actually really good. So I'm waiting until I see her next, and we'll watch the movie.
Amazing.
I just finally made it to Wano in One Piece, which is like episode 900. So I've spent the last 2.5 years watching that. Yeah.
One Piece is like.
It's the big bad wolf.
It's like a real commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And you did it.
I did it.
I went into one scene. I was like, nah, I can't
Couldn't do
this.
it?
I couldn't. I
Well,
couldn't get into it. I don't know why. Like
it's-
Inuyasha too. Couldn't get into it.
Well, it's those older animes though.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when they started in the 90s,
They had a lot of fillers though too.
a lot of filler. Although
Uh-huh.
One Piece has been pretty good about it. Most of it is very progressive, the storyline.
Oh, okay, good.
But when you're watching something that was illustrated and produced in like 1993, that can be hard to get
True.
around now.
True.
And so I'm finally like up to the modern episodes that have come out the last year or so. So the
Right.
animation production's gone up.
Significantly for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Like one of these days I'm gonna get hit. in the
Yeah,
face.
just knocked out.
Yep. Best piece of advice you've ever received about anything.
So it wasn't actually said to me. I saw it in a TikTok, which
So your best piece of advice was within the last year?
was within the last few years. Yeah, because I'm like one of those people. So there's this old saying from like a song. It's called the Sunscreen Song, and it was this speech that a professor was giving to his graduating university class. It was just kind of like general life advice of how to carry yourself. And he said that, he's like, most advice is a unique form of nostalgia where people take a piece of themselves out of the trash, paint over the ugly parts, and then sell it for something else. And that's kind of like how I've always seen it, is like there's always sort of like a bias when people give you advice because they're talking to their own experiences.
Yeah.
And so it's relatable, but I always have a hard time like really applying advice to me. Just like with like if someone's like, hey, don't jump down the hole, like that's specific advice that I'm probably gonna listen to. I'm just saying like the general, like here's how to be happy, or like here's how to care less.
Yeah.
But nothing has really ever hit me until I saw that video where he was talking about whenever you're going through hardships, and he's like, people often confuse a situation with themselves. And he's like, if you're going through a situation and you're going through hardship, but you as a person are okay, you're not actually in any danger. Like, you will make it through this and you will be stronger on the other side of it.
Aww.
And that's helped a lot in a lot of these like recent stressful situations where I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, like I am healthy, I've got friends around me, and I've really been able to like take myself out of that and be like, no, I'm gonna come out and like just be a stronger person because of this. But I just really like the way that he worded it.
Yeah. Was it difficult to produce Ocean Avenue?
Not too difficult actually. I mean, there was an old version that I had that I was playing in my live set like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when I did a couple shows with Griffin, and I tested it out there. The hardest part was just like getting the right person to sing it, because I knew that I was gonna have to do it as a cover.
Yeah.
I'd heard that Ryan from Yellow Card was difficult to convince on things like this, and so
Oh, no way.
I got my friend Phil's friend Ryan, another Ryan who
Oh.
plays in a band called State Champs, he just randomly tracked it for fun and sent it over, and I was like, this is incredible. Like, it sounds so good. And so once that was dialed in, I just needed to approach the production, and
How long did it take for you to finish it?
once I got the vocals in and knew what I wanted to do, I finished it in about a day.
Oh wow,
Yeah, and then
Okay.
I got my friend, I got Jesse Vanek to master it for me.
amazing.
Yeah, so he did all the boring stuff. He did the mix and master, and I just got to produce it.
Yeah, wow. Well, I was expecting a lot longer. Wow, okay.
Sorry.
Does Kino Body really work?
Absolutely, it does. I've just never been able to follow the program for more than 2 months because I get derailed. It's like, but it's not rocket science. If you guys want to get lean, you just got to stay in a small calorie deficit. Get your 10,000 steps.
Yeah.
Don't overtrain because that's how you injure yourself. And eat good food. And track your exercises.
That sounds way too difficult.
Progressive overload. You gotta
Yeah.
make sure that you're pushing yourself each week.
Yeah, this is the most amount of activity I do, and my diet not the best, you know,
Yeah.
but it's okay.
See? 2 weeks on Kino Body, you'll be a monster.
Yeah, I don't know if I could even do that for a day. Do you have a favorite vocalist you've worked with?
I'm gonna say Run
Oh,
because
beautiful voice.
she's also just like one of my best friends
Aw.
and is amazing to work with and hang out with and write with all the time. Her and my friend Curtis, who goes by Kala, and he and I have a full EP that we've done together that we're finishing up right now.
Wow.
And it's like some of the most vulnerable and like, I guess you say like creative writing that I've done with him, so that's been a lot of fun.
When is the EP coming out?
I mean, we're currently trying to survive album season because the next 2 months are going to be everybody's album coming out all at once.
Oh.
So I'll probably
Album
be...
season.
Oh yeah, you're in for a treat. We got albums from everybody.
Wow.
So early 2022 is when we want to try and
okay.
start planning for it.
That's a weird question.
hmm
How many times in a day you'd say the average cat meows?
I saw that one. Yeah. You know, that's tough. Varies from cat to cat. There's a lot of vocal cats.
This question is just so interesting.
But you know that cats only vocalize around humans. Like, they've developed the meow not as an evolutionary. It's an adaptation to human behavior. Like, they meow to get our attention specifically. So if you neglect your cat, it's gonna meow about 1 million times a day. But if you got a chill cat that you feed and you take care of, it'll chill out.
Wow.
I'd
good
say
to know.
Average cat though, I'd say 15 to 20 times. 15 to 20 times a day.
15 seconds. How are you making chord progressions non-generic?
Progressions themselves, I'd say playing with different scales, so like Phrygian scales, throwing like harmonic minors, so like a thing that, I mean, I don't know much about music theory, so the best thing I could say is in a progression, if you have somewhere where there should be like a G minor, throw in a G major instead and see what happens. And sometimes it creates this like really weird dissonance and like it makes it sound kind of like ethnic and Egyptian, and that's kind of what they experiment with. So that's sort of like a fun little thing you can try out.
Tips for hard drums.
For hard drums,
Yes.
make sure that you're side chaining to your snare and to your kick.
Yes.
Add compression to it.
Compression.
Add some saturation.
and saturation.
Throw that Saturn 2 from Fab Filter, the product I mentioned earlier.
Fab filters.
You're taking, yeah.
I have no idea what any of this is, but you know.
Somebody out there will.
Somebody out
And
there
they'll
will.
thank me for it. Yeah.
Exactly. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Who is the most helpful and motivating person in your life?
There's a few. I'd say my girlfriend, for one, because she busts my balls.
Yeah.
She's really good at making me do things because she's very motivated. she's like that person that doesn't like to wake up in the morning but will because she has to, and I'm the kind of person that doesn't want to wake up in the morning and won't even if I have to. And so like
Oh.
so she's the one that's like, Tyler,
You guys seem like perfect, like a perfect balance.
definitely her, and then
Aw.
the generic my friends and family, but truly they've been my day one supporters. So yeah,
Where's the blessed?
the blessed.
Where is the best place to get a cool guy shirt? What's a cool guy shirt? Like just like cool, like you're
That's-
cool.
That's
Oh,
so
okay.
that's an inside joke
Oh.
with you want to go this? Yeah, sorry. I'm cutting you off. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an inside joke with me and my friend Tyler. I was talking about how I don't have enough cool guy shirts, which are like shirts that cool guys would wear. We were like looking at him, and you're like, that's a cool guy.
What's a cool guy shirt? I want a cool guy shirt.
Yeah, it's like that
Where
kind of
would you
shirt.
get one?
I mean, this is a pretty cool shirt. That's like on
thanks.
its way to being. That's a cool guy shirt.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're already on the right path.
Cool.
I mean, I found a couple hidden bangers at Ross. People, have their things to say about Ross, but I went in there. I went into a Ross in Las Vegas,
Las Vegas.
and I found myself a cool guy shirt that I wore on stage at the festival there.
Mhm.
I also like thrift shopping though, like going into
I'm
thrift
starting
stores.
to get into thrift shopping.
And every now and then,
thrift shopping in LA yet?
no, I've heard it's banging,
Wait,
and you'll occasionally
Okay,
just
we-
find that like secret.
you leave Sunday, don't you?
I leave on
Dang.
Sunday.
Mm.
So we're just gonna, we're just gonna
Next
deflate
time,
that.
next
yeah.
time you're here, we'll go.
Perfect.
Oh, this is a good one to end it on.
Mhm.
If you had a biography, what would be the name of your book?
Disappointment. No, just
Oh my god!
Call
That
it
would be mine. Just kidding.
That's a tough question. I'm trying to think of something so original off the top of my head. You call it like the Chronicles of the Fake Extrovert.
That's so good!
yeah.
That's so good. I
Yeah.
like that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview, Tyler.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you guys for watching.
Mhm.
If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Okay,
All three, not
Bye.
just one. All three.
all three.
Bye,
All right. Bye, guys. Okay.